sustainability is because of where I grew up. The experiences I got to live and the important people have helped feed and curiosity about the natural world. Now, as for college, I'm obviously super interested in studying something environmental and sustainability. And I would totally love to become a marine biologist, but since I am going to University of Louisville, there are not many options. You could always go to further in higher education. But as of right now, I am enrolled in the Speed School of Engineering for Computer Science and Engineering. It's one of my favorites schedule for the fall semester. But essentially, the plan with getting a degree in computer science and engineering was to be able to create green technology and applications and create softwares for environmental research. Yet, right now, everything seems unstable with the rise of artificial intelligence. Was working artificial intelligence. So I am currently waiting to get assigned to my permanent academic advisor at U of L to switch my major and start talking about doing a double major in sustainability. And as you can see, my school schedule for the semester, I am supposed to take an introductory engineering course where I'm supposed to be able to work and learn all branches of engineering offered at U of L. And I'm really hoping to be able to narrow down my decision to either chemical engineering and sustainability or civil engineering and sustainability. I'm hoping that with the chemical engineering and sustainability degrees, I can apply to get my master's at another university for environmental engineering. And with civil engineering and sustainability, I also plan to get my master's in environmental engineering. Since there is no direct environmental engineering program at my university yet, with environmental engineering, I really hope to do research and realize in conserving natural and resources and creating sustainable solutions to combat pollution. But if I find out in college that maybe engineering is not for me, I hope to switch over into law. I would then study applied geography and sustainability as my undergraduate degrees, and then go to law school and become an environmental lawyer. As an environmental lawyer, I would like to do consulting and environment policy and help make change in the legal world for the betterment of our planet. So in the end, I am not sure where life will take me, of course, but I know for certain that I will study something related to environmental science and sustainability, since I have come to realize that it's the only thing that really interests me and makes me want to continue learning. But anyway, a big thanks to everyone who has made the Sunnyside Master Gardener Scholarship possible and have made my own dreams possible. I am forever grateful for this opportunity that has been given to me. You guys are helping a first generation student to continue seeking education when not too long ago. Even the thought of going to college was too far-fetched or seen as dreaming too big. So again, thank you so much for choosing me as this year's recipient of the Sunnyside Master Gardener Scholarship.
She's young. I remember. Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, did you want to do something else, Debbie, or?
Do you have any other highlights of your garden? We got about 15 seconds for you to throw something out there. Maybe you have a new vegetable or a new plant or something that you're excited about.
My Abe Lincoln tomatoes are over 7 feet tall.
Hey. How about one more? Do we? Yeah. Anybody else that wants to mention anything about this in your garden? Okay, well, just keep that in mind. So, today, we have Don Wolf, and he has graciously agreed to meet with us in place of Linda Luck. Linda is moving, or has already moved, I believe. Don bought his first daylily in 1993 after seeing the flowers at a show put on by the Daylilies Society in Louisville. And within just 3 years, he began hybridizing to see if he could come up with plants that were different from their parent plants. So he's going to tell you more about hybridizing. In 2004, he surprised himself by registering 2 such daylilies, and I will let him reveal the names of these to you. He and his wife Claudia, and Claudia's here too, have only an average size yard, that's what he says, in which to plant seedlings and evaluate them. Despite that limitation, Don has registered 48 unique daylilies.
Wow.
And 42 have been doubles. A number of his seedlings have won Best Seedling in Louisville and Best in Show at shows around the country. He has a notable double he has introduced to the world called Tickle the Octopus. As you know, we don't have a microphone in here, and so we need, as Shelley said, for you to be extra attentive. I have told him we will not have any side conversations. We will be very well mannered in listening. So please prove me right about this and show him what a great group of people you are. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Don Wolf.
First, I'd like to thank Debbie for inviting me. Linda Luck has moved to Georgia and is still trying to settle into her new house. She had probably 1,500 different registered daylilies. I believe she took something like 300 and something to Georgia. So she's still in the process. In fact, we met her in Chattanooga, Tennessee, at a small convention, and she's still trying to get them from pots into the ground. So, well, did I get in the way of anybody? Just holler. I call her Wolf's Daylilies. Well, let's see. Work.
Veronica's behind you.
Yeah, but it looks like it's on. Started working. Maybe I need to be closer.
I can always be your slide mover too, so if you need to.
Let me see if it makes a difference if I'm closer. No. There, okay, there we go. There we go. In fact, I'll just stay up here. Maybe I need to be closer. But I just have this. We belong to the Daylily Society of Louisville, and there's different regions around the country. The state of Kentucky and Tennessee makes up region 10. And all the regions, there's 15 different regions around the country. And we belong also to the American Hemerocallis or American Daylily Society. And the highest award that one can get in a daylily is the South Medal, which is awarded each year, and it's voted on by garden judges around the country, meet a lot of criteria. There, it starts out in a pyramid, working its way up from achieving an honorable mention. And then after 3 years, then it's eligible for an award of merit. And then it moves on up into a list that, in fact, I voted today. I'm a daylily garden judge, and I voted today. Now, this may be quite elementary. How many people actually grow daylilies? Do you have a number of daylilies, or do you, probably the most common that you see in a lot of landscapes is the little Stella Diora. There's a lot more than just the Stella Diora.
The dish lilies, isn't that the same thing?
But daylilies originated in Asia. And I won't read all of that if you just want to take a glance at it. But a lot of people, when you say daylilies, they say, well, yeah, I've got some bulbs, daylily bulbs. Daylilies don't grow from bulbs. They grow from a crown, which is at the base of the plant, just above the roots and just below the leaves, but they do not grow from bulbs. That's just a few terms. In hybridizing, probably the most important terms would be diploid. Kind of point, but diploid and tetraploid. Tetraploid has 44 chromosomes. Diploid has 22 chromosomes. They will not cross. So in hybridizing, you must cross a diploid with a diploid or a tetraploid with a tetraploid. There's different forms of daylilies. There's a single, which is 3 petals and 3 sepals. There's the double daylily that has a lot of extra tissue, usually in the center of the daylily. There's a spider form, which must have a petal ratio of 4 to 1. Unusual form, and then there's the multiform. The multiform, which is something that I've gotten into in recent years, where you really have a double daylily, and it's also an unusual form. That's an example of a single. In fact, that's one of our earlier introductions. We named bourbon and water, but that's a typical daylily with 3 petals, and there's 3 sepals. The double form, that's one that I introduced and named for my father, Harry's office. There's a double form that's a hose and hose, but the upper is what we call a peony style. That's a hose and hose, which looks like the layers of petals on top of each other. That's one that we named for a cousin of Claudia's, and we call that Ted's tea time. He played golf. That's just a picture of a spider form. As you can see, the petals are narrow. That's an unusual form where the petals I guess the best way to describe it is just kind of unusual. It's definitely different than the single, or it has the wider petals and sepals. And then you have a polymeris, which actually has, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the pollen, usually there's a pistil, and there's you have 6 pieces of pollen, and we're in the polymeris. You usually have 8. In that rather than having 3 petals, you have 4 petals and 4 sepals. That's a multi-form, which is both a double and an unusual form. That's one of our introductions. We named Bourbon and a Fine Cigar. I told Claudia that if I get a double that's really striking, then I'll give it the name Bourbon and a Fine Cigar. There's different size daylilies. A miniature is considered anything under 3 inches. A small is considered 3 inches to 4.5, a large 4.5 to 7, and an extra large over 7 inches in diameter. That's the different parts of a daylily. As you can see at the very top is the seed pod, and that's what I'm trying to set when I hybridize. But you can see there's all at the bottom are the roots, and just above it is the crown. And of course, the stamens, that's the pollen. That's where the pollen is, and of course, in hybridizing, you take the pollen from one daylily bloom to the pistil at the top, the stigma. And within a matter of hours, if it works its way down into the ovary, then it starts developing a seed pod. That's my hands out in the garden with some pollen, just showing where I'm about to touch the tip of the pistil. That over to the right is a seed pod as they mature, and they could take 5 to 6 weeks for a seed pod to mature. And usually, just as it starts turning brown, it will want to open. Well, I'm out there grabbing those seed pods, not allowing the seeds to drop to the ground. So I'm harvesting the seeds. That's a picture I took out in the garden of a few seed pods that have formed, and you can see the little tags where I have put the what we call the pod parent and the pollen parent. I keep pretty accurate records. I try to maintain records. I want to know what both parents are. And of course, there's an example of the seeds. And I'll usually put it in the little envelope, and I'll mark it on the envelope. But that group of seeds is from a daylily called Beware the Wizard, crossed with 1124 number 7, which I have since registered, so it's no longer a seedling. And there's a little ball over on the right. You can put the pollen in the freezer. You can keep pollen for a number of months. Some people, can pull the pollen out the following year and still take it around, and it's still viable. The main thing is to keep any moisture, away from the pollen. That's just an example. I put everything on a PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, but an Excel spreadsheet. That's just an example of the spreadsheet that I created with all the seeds that I collected from crosses that I made last year. And I've got these doggone things that go back to 96 or 97. I just hold on to them. I start my seeds out in the basement under just regular lighting, no special lighting involved. That's a little frog that, now this is probably in, the month of, January or February in the basement. Now where that little frog comes from, don't know. Unless,
Yeah.
some plants that, indoor plants that we have, had out on the,
Yeah.
out on the patio, and when we brought it in, he was probably down in that pot. But he showed himself, for about a week or week and a half. And he would get up on the top of the light. I'd go down one morning, he'd be up on the top of the light. After about a week or week and a half, he just disappeared. I had no idea where he went. That's just an example of, I start my seeds, then there's, 2, 4, 6, 8, cells, and each cell has a particular cross. And, I don't think I can see it right there, but I actually have a little, down in the corner, you'll see it, I'd be able to see a little, piece of Venetian blind, and I'll have the actual cross. That relates to a particular number on my Excel spreadsheet. But after a month or so, in that state, then I thought I showed, I actually move them into smaller cells, they're on the right. And and I'll keep those downstairs, till, late, April. If I get the babies in the ground, say late April, then there's a good chance I'll be able to see them bloom for the first time the following year. So this is a 2-year process. From the time I move pollen to the time I might see the first bloom is 2 years. That's just a picture of, we do, have other things, in our garden other than daylilies. We like irises, peonies. We probably have, probably 12 different peonies around the yard. And we like our calla lilies. We never bring dig the calla lilies and bring them in, if they survive the winters, and they have for years. We've had them in the garden probably, 20 years, I bet. If we have an extremely cold winter, it might kind of set some of them back, but, we don't ever have lost them all. We do live in the typical, residential lot. We do utilize, I usually try to utilize as much, area as I can, for my daylilies. So you can see the daylily beds. Wish the pointer would point, but, anyway. But you can see the number of beds that we have around the, front of the house, the back of the house, side of the house. The top portion of the house there is the backyard. There was a deck there. It kind of needed some repair, so rather than go to the expense of repairing it, I got rid of it, and I've got more daylilies. We do have deer. Deer are a problem, and they hit us pretty hard this year. But we have these. They're made by Orbit. They sense movement, and when it senses movement, it has a sprinkler on top, and it'll make about 4 revolutions, and it scares the daylilies. We've got
Scares the deer.
Scares the deer. There's the deer. In fact, we've got some, what are the cameras that we have on the front of the house? So I laid in bed, if a deer comes in, I'm alerted that there's motion in the yard. We've been able to see where a deer, and it gets in front of one of these, and when it goes off, that deer just takes off. So they have been helpful. The deer can sneak in behind it though, and eat. So I've got, I think we've got 6 of them stationed in different points. Garden, a particular, daylily. That's a small, another, that's a little lower to the ground. That's a view of the garden. I took that, just, within the past couple of weeks at the top of our driveway. That's down, one side. That's another picture, that's actually what that bed there, we call it our memorial bed. We've, number of our registered daylilies we've named for different, relatives, pets that have passed away. That's the most recent, water wizard. We just refer to them as a water wizard, but it's actually called an orbit, motion enforcer or garden. That's another view. Everything's in full bloom. That's off to the out the back door on the deck, just looking down. Just another view of the different daylily beds. But you can see one of the motion detectors right there. So it's guarding that area up there. Over to the left of that is another motion detected orbit enforcer to protect that outside edge. Now they can come into this bed, and they do. They come in off the sidewalk and they eat in that bed, but I don't have anything in there that I really care about, so I'm protecting it. That's a picture, I think that was taken back in March, before any of the bloom. That's a picture of the memorial bed. Seedlings, that's, I planted these probably, well, it was the very first of May, within the first week of May. And there's 3 rows there. There's probably about 75 seedlings in there. A seedling is an unnamed daylily. But that's the babies from last year's crosses. That's just a different view of it. In the back where the deck used to be is, you can see there's 3 rows that I put in the latter part of April. The daylilies to the back side and to the front side of that are ones that I'm evaluating. The ones on the back side are, I think they're 2023 crosses. I have not seen anything in there that I'm going to keep. So all of those will be removed, and the crosses that I'm making this year, the babies will go back there. The ones on the far right there, those are crosses that I made in 2024. So this is the first year that I've been able to see them bloom.
Oh.
So I'll evaluate them. There's a few in there that you know, there's some hope. That's just right next door to us, just the other side of our chain link fence. That's just the same water wizard. My wild oaks have turned to shredded wheat. These are the little signs that we go to Roosters in Louisville, and they have a lot of nifty little signs around the restaurant. That's a daylily that are registered. It's a 2026 introduction. We named it Bourbon Taters. On the left is in the right at the bottom are the 2 parents that created that. Ginseng Man is at the bottom, which is one of our registrations, and Amy's Quilts. So it took the pollen from Amy's quilts to the Ginseng Man, and that's what I got. Really different than both of the parents. The height of that is probably, well, about 35 inches.
Whoa.
So it stands up. That's a recent introduction as well, Bourbon Burn. Different, Ginseng Man by Lady of Sharon. By sipping bourbon, there's about 3 generations of crosses, that come up with that one daylily. And the 2 parents are at the bottom. Chilling like a villain. That's a daylily that, in fact, I think it's a cross I made in 2009, I believe it was. So it's quite old, but we named it for someone that she had a term, are you chilling or chilling like a villain? So I thought, yeah, let's use that name. Could be Shine On, we named for a friend's spouse that passed away about a year, maybe a year ago now. That daylily, we had for a number of years as well. That's considered a mini. That bloom is less than 3 inches in diameter. And it is fairly low to the ground. It's only 24 inches. Now, 24 inches is what we call the bloom scape or stalk. Bourbon Bliss, which has the characteristics of a double unusual form. We named for a friend that had passed away. His last name was Bliss. And we use bourbon, since Kentucky is noted for bourbon. So we use bourbon in quite a few of the names of the daylilies that we have registered. Our Huckleberry Friends, we named that for friends that live in southeast Texas. They live in Lake Jackson, Texas, south of Houston, Texas. And they grow some of our daylilies, and they live in the street they live on is Huckleberry Lane, I believe it is. So we named it our Huckleberry Friends. One thing about daylilies, when you move them from one climate to another, a lot of the daylilies in our garden are considered either dormant or semi-evergreen. In say Florida or southeast Texas, you see a lot of evergreen. They want to grow year round, and they have the climate to do that. So if you take something that needs to go to sleep over the winter months, go dormant, a lot of times they won't live in a climate like that. And also a lot of the things that from their climate, they're evergreen, they won't survive up here or further north. Now, not all will die, but a number of them have a hard time with the colder temperatures. That's one we named Frog in My Bourbon. You never know if you're gonna see a frog out in the garden. Rosie's Dumplings, we named for a friend that during Derby time. They would have a lot of Derby parties, and her specialty was dumplings, chicken and dumplings. Callie Moo, named for a friend for a dog that she had that had passed away. And she called the dog Callie Moo. That's one thing when you get into registering daylilies, that they're all registered with the American Daylily Society. You have to come up with a name. It has to be a name that has never been used before. And I think that in the database, I think they're up to 100,000 different daylilies. There's a bunch of them. So there's a lot of names that have been used. So you have to have a name that has never been used before. Graham's Heart, named, for another friend, that, dog had passed away. I think those two I registered in 2025, I believe it was. The Little Nip of Bourbon, that's a miniature, it's not a double. I think in, was it 48 daylilies that I've registered, I think there's only maybe 4 that are not doubles, and that's an example. But it's a prolific, daylily, grows like a weed. And there's a picture of the clump, that's in bloom. The little splash of bourbon. You see on a lot of the heights are 30, 36 inches or so. Years ago, everything was down. The blooms were down close to the foliage. These stick up above the foliage. That's just another example of a little splash of bourbon. See the question mark over there? I think I had lost a tag that had the pollen parent on it. So that's when I registered. When you register, you really don't even have to submit the name of the parents, but most people do. And that's probably just 1 or 2 examples of all the 48 that I've named that I did not have both parents. Alonzo, named for a friend that passed away several years ago. That's a true statement. The future isn't what it used to be. There's another single, not double. I crossed it with the, on the left here, Brookwood Black Kitten with a double in hopes of getting a double. And it doesn't double very often, so I could not register it. If it doesn't double at least 50% of the time, you cannot register it as a double. However, this year, I don't know, something with the weather, I saw more doubling in that this year than I've ever seen. And that's what it looks like if it does double. And that's less than 3 inches. That's about 2 3/4 inch diameter. So it's a little bitty thing. Bourbon after midnight. But you can see the parentage in that. There's several generations of crosses to get that. It's another picture of bourbon after midnight. Aliens on bourbon. Sure, how we come up with that name? It's I think somebody suggested it, and so I picked up on it. When he suggested, I said, "Well, I'll use it if I can." But that particular daylily is one best in show. Let's see, 2 years ago at in the Chattanooga Daylily Flower Show, it made the head table. The following year, it made the head table again this year in a club in just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Gary, our Gator guy, named for a friend that passed away several years ago. They had a place in Florida, and he loved to go out and on the lake that was on the golf course and look for gators. We bring blooms in. That's just a small amount of blooms that we'll bring in and put in those little, I guess they're called sniffers, little vases, just to be able to enjoy the bloom inside as well. You never know what you're going to find. Like I say, sometimes you'll find a frog. I'd like to find a frog and move him into the bloom of frog in my bourbon. But I haven't seen any frogs in the garden this year. I don't think I saw any last year. That's one we named the Midnight Kitten. That's about a 2 3/4 inch bloom. Just another example with two blooms. Bourbon barrel. In fact, I brought bourbon barrel. And it has a bloom on it. Now, that plant, as you see it there, is not typical. That had been disturbed in moving some plants out of a small clump that I shipped to someone, and so that's very, very short. However, the bloom is not too far off in size. It's typically a 5 inch bloom. That's probably getting close to 5 inches there. Autumn and Bourbon Country, that's the other plant that we've got over there. It had already bloomed out, so no bloom on it. That is a tetraploid. Out of all the 48 that I've registered, there's only 2 tetraploids that I've ever registered. I just don't spend a whole lot of time, making crosses to that. Occasionally I will with another tetraploid, but then I don't have room in the garden to actually get it in the ground. Aerial starfish. That's a 6.5 inch diameter on the bloom on that.
That's pretty.
The parent ginseng man down here is typically 7, sometimes 8 inches in diameter when it first starts blooming. So it's another picture of aerial starfish. Mia's Love, we named after one of our miniature schnauzers, named Mia. And I guess what drew Claudia the most to it is the color. That's about as pink that we've been able to come up with. Snoop Denny, named after another friend that had passed away, and all those that I've named for, like I said earlier, for friends, relatives, pets, or in that one bed that we call our memorial bed. But Snoop Denny, he was a say a club pro at some of the courses over in Louisville, and a lot of his friends called him Smooth, and I don't know whether it's because he had a smooth golf swing. He liked smooth bourbon, but anyway, Bourbon Buzz. What I like most about that is how that tissue really extends out. In fact, I won't see that bloom. It typically doesn't bloom until late in the season, but the deer did get all the buds on that plant. Yeah, got all the buds. That's Tickle the Octopus. That has won an honorable mention award in the pyramid on its way up, hopefully to be in the possibility of a stout battle winner. But that starts blooming. That's about an 8 to 9 inch bloom. It's bloomed out at home. It starts blooming fairly early. Just another picture. Tickle the Octopus. Bourbon in the Bluegrass. That's another big bloom, 7.5 inch diameter. Here's Dr. David, named for one of our schnauzers, Kira. She had a lot of medical problems, and Dr. David was the veterinarian that really pulled her through a lot of her medical problems that she had. There's Bourbon and the Fine Cigar.
Okay.
That's just a clump of Bourbon and the Fine Cigar. It's all up in there. A lot of people, when they see that name, they think it's maybe a vulgar name, but it's not. We would take a lot of the blooms up to like Texas Roadhouse, and get, people's opinion on the bloom. And one day we asked the girl that was, waiting on this, uh, for help in naming it, and she said, "Oh, I don't know, it just looks like it's all up in there to me." It's all up in there. And I think she was talking about the doubling, petalloid tissue, it's all up in there. That's a little pixie from Dixie, that's about a 2 3/4 inch bloom. It's, I did register that one as a double. It has a parent, one parent is a double, the other parent is not a double. And I get probably, I think I registered it at 65% double. And again, this year it doubled better than it has in the past. When it first starts blooming, probably the first several days, there's no doubles. There's no double in the blooms, and then all of a sudden it starts doubling. I think it needs to heat up a little bit. That's a clump of it. That's a picture of ginseng man, which, like I say, I registered at 8 inches in diameter. That's several blooms of it. One thing with the ginseng man, some of the offspring, some of the children exhibit a lot of the traits, not color, because I don't want it to everything in yellow, but it has very heavy scapes. In fact, we took it to our daylily show. What was that? June the 27th, and I could hardly get the scape down in a wine bottle. It was so big around. Bourbon on ice. That's the first thing that blooms in our garden. It usually starts blooming about the 3rd week of May, and it's typical within probably 2 or 3 days every year. So it bloomed early, and then it bloomed, and of course it bloomed out before a lot of the other daylilies started blooming. That's a seedling that I was really interested in, 20-11 number 5. I moved some pollen from that today, and I moved some pollen to the pistil on that. And it is a child out of the ginseng man you see over on the far right, and it has the heavy scapes. It did win Best in Show, which is unusual for a seedling, for an unnamed cultivar to win Best in Show in a flower show. But it did win Best in Show at our show June the 27th. That's 4 different blooms taken at different times during this season. You can see that each bloom is not identical to the next, and that's common with the double unusual forms. That's a seedling that I'm still evaluating. It's a cross I made in 2019. I just haven't pulled the trigger on this one yet. It does have a few flaws that could very well keep me from ever registering it, but it has a beautiful bloom on it. But a lot of the blooms have a different blotchiness on the petals, and it's not caused by rain. It's but it did right now. It's just about bloomed out, and when it gets closer to blooming out for the season, the blooms are perfect, no blemishes at all. That's a seedling under evaluation. In fact, we were looking at that just a couple of days ago. We brought the bloom in to get some to get the color, basically the color of it. And then in registering, when I do register it, I have to submit the height, the bloom size, the number of buds, the branching number of branches, if it's a diploid or tetraploid, whether it blooms early, season, mid-season, late season. So there's a lot of information that you have to gather. You know, I guess really us advertisers start trying to get that information a year or two before we actually, register it. That's a seedling that, it hasn't even started blooming yet. It's a late bloomer. And if it blooms again this year like it has in the past, I will give this one a name. That one, I thought I was going to pull the trigger and then give it a name and register it this year, but yet it's not doubling enough. There's not much of the doubling or what we call the petaloid tissue up in there. So I don't know whether I'll ever register that one, but it's a very pretty, daylily. Same way with that one. And that's an old cross. It's, 1583, that we took to the Lexington Flower Show the day after the Lowell Flower Show, and at least made the head table, and that's a picture of it up on the head table. So I'll probably register that one. That one, didn't see much out of it in the garden this year, unfortunately. Seedling, still under evaluation. Still under evaluation, just deciding if it's what I think is good enough to register to give it a name. That's blooming in the garden right now. That one has bloomed out. That one really looked good this year. And you can see, at the bottom, when you see the parents, I'm looking for something that really doesn't look like either of the two parents. And I didn't say, when one of the earlier slides that showed the seeds, you might have 10, 15 seeds in one seed pod. Each seed will give you a different flower. They won't be the same. So when you plant, if all 15 seeds germinate and you plant those, each one will look different. All the siblings will be different. That's one that I'm still looking at. Evaluating that cross was made in 23. I saw it bloom last year, and so typically from the time I make the cross, it may be 5 or 6 years before I say it. Yes, it's good enough to give a name. That I moved some pollen too. It stands about that tall. And the bloom is probably about a 4 to 4.5 inch in diameter bloom. In the morning, I'm usually out in the garden by 8 o'clock taking pictures because I'm gathering, data. Because whenever I do register it, I have to have a picture. And it needs to be a picture that looks like the bloom in our garden. And that one, sometimes it's hard to get a picture because if it's up like this, I've got to get the camera up. And one thing about it is it stays standing. It hasn't fallen yet in 2 years of seeing it. But I like that bloom. That's a picture of the scape showing the different branching, which is what a lot of people look for. 2385. That's just a few down in the from the previous one. That's a little bit larger bloom and a little shorter, but it's still probably at least 30 inches in height. really pretty, I haven't seen the same face on that one, this year. That's why you gotta evaluate them over a period of several years, because when the first season that it blooms, that may be fantastic. And then the next season just so-so or so-so. So typically, we wait for about 3 years of evaluating it. If it looks like something that we want to continue to evaluate, then I move it over to one of the larger seedling beds, just off from the driveway. But last year it looked fantastic, but I haven't seen that face on it, this year, so. 1863, it did well this year, and that's a cross I made in 2018. Will it ever be introduced or registered? I'm not sure, because it has some qualities that fairly low in bud count. Aspire to inspire before you expire. So we better hurry up. How much time?
Dawn, I'm wondering if we could ask if there are any questions.
Yeah. Yeah, are there, because from here on out, you know, we can cut at this point. In fact, because a lot of this, that kind of starts, the first daylily that we ever registered. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
When you cross pollinate them, do you have a pretty good idea of the colors that you're gonna get?
No. No, you really don't. Because again, out of that, if it takes, and your seed pod has 10, 15, each one could actually be a different color or a little bit different color. Now, you can try to cross the same color, but you're probably going to get some babies that are different in color. A lot of hybridizers that specialize in reds over the years only use reds, you know, in their hybridizing program. But when I hybridize, it could come out as any color. Now I am looking for different traits, certain traits. So I'm moving the pollen from one that has a trait that I like, and it may not necessarily be color. I moved some that were yellow, and I'm not a big fan of all yellow daylilies, even though I have some that are yellow. But I moved it to one that definitely doesn't have any yellow, but I made the move because of the number of buds, the height of it, the branching. And yes.
This is the dumb question, but do they all make a seed pollen?
Some are sterile. Some pollen is sterile. You can take pollen all day long and take to some, and it will never set a seed pod. You can, I've got one that you just look at it and you can set a seed pod. And I've got some like the little single that little nip of bourbon. It loads up in seed pods, and I didn't make that cross. I didn't move that pollen. So in those, if it doesn't have my label on it, I pluck all those seed pods off and throw them away, because again, I want to know the parentage. And typically I can see the resemblance of the parents or the children of the parents. But you never know later in the afternoon, and the thing to do is to get out and move your pollen when it becomes ripe early in the morning before the bees or any other insects get to moving. And then you can pretty well be assured that you moved that pollen. But some of them will just set pollen. They're probably self-pollinating themselves. In fact, Stella Diora will load up on seed pods, and it's self-pollinating is what it's doing.
So like the seed pod, you can keep it yourself and then get the seed and plant it.
Pardon?
like a seed pond, you sowed the seed and plant it yourself, kind of like in the springtime, like a regular seed?
Yeah, I'll pluck when the seed pod becomes just before it starts to break open, and you can see when it starts to open up. I'll take that seed pod and I'll keep the little tag that I've got attached to it. And I'll take it in and I'll keep that number with that. I'll store the seeds in the refrigerator and then in usually late January, I get the seeds out and start germinating them down in the basement. And I'll keep that number with it. And that's where that Excel spreadsheet comes in. You know, I've got both parents on that Excel spreadsheet, and it's given a number which starts out at number one on the Excel spreadsheet. So say like the crosses I made last year, 25-1 is number one on that Excel spreadsheet, but it has the both parents on it, but I keep that. And then when I do register it with the American Daylily Society, I submit because there's a field for the parentage, and I've got that parentage. Yes.
Do they rebloom?
Some do. Stella Diora, you know, I keep bringing up Stella Diora. It's a fantastic daylily, but it doesn't look anything like what's out there. There's a lot more than Stella Diora, but Stella Diora is noted for its rebloom. Now the rebloom is not as great as the first bloom. I've got the little pixie from Dixie, the small one. It reblooms. In fact, it's reblooming right now. So there's some that typically will rebloom. There's others you hardly will ever see it rebloom. And that is a trait that's in the one of the fields when you register it. Is it a rebloom? Now, those that rebloom in my garden may not rebloom in somebody else's garden in Tennessee or up in Ohio. And a lot that I think that has to do with rebloom too is climate. A lot of rain, you typically see more rebloom, but not all daylilies will rebloom. Yes.
Now, when you're hybridizing, do you consider not just the parents, but the grandparents or great grandparents, and know that those former generations may bring something down now rather than just parents have?
Yes, it's just like us. You know, we don't look exactly like our parents, but you know, we may have characteristics, obviously, of our parents, or we may have even more characteristics. We may look more like an uncle or an aunt or a great uncle or a great aunt. You know, so yeah, I will. I can always refer back on my spreadsheets and see, look at the parentage and go back. And it might be a quality that I want to bring forward into to making a cross tomorrow morning when I get out. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes.
What do you do with the seedling blooms that you don't like?
I either throw them away or I give them away. If I have someone that would like them because they're not ugly, they just don't exhibit the characteristics that I'm looking for. If I'm hybridized for a double, I want it to double. And I want it to double as near 100% of the time as possible. Now, I've never registered one saying it doubles 100% of the time because you never know, there might be one bloom in a season that's not double. So I usually typically would be 98 or 99%, doubling. But yeah, in fact, we gave away because an area that I showed that had 75 little babies in it, right beside it are 2023 crosses, and this is the second year for me to see them bloom. I'll see them bloom again next year, and if it's not something I wanna keep, then if there's somebody, a friend that wants them, they can come over and I'll dig them up and give it to them, because I need that little patch of ground to put some new babies in. Just like, in the back where the deck was, there's a row of, I think it's a row of two rows. I don't know, there could be 50 seedlings in there. I think they're all gonna go, because I need that space, and none of them looks like it's gonna be anything that I want to continue to evaluate. Yeah.
But on the other side of hybridizing, rust is an issue for many people with daylilies.
Yes, it is.
Do you hybridize for those that are resistant to? And once you get it, what do you do to get rid of it?
Rust is a thing that came up from the southern states. A lot of people say, well, I live in a colder climate, it won't live here. But it lives up in Michigan. So I had it for several years, and when I first saw it, is this really rust? I shouldn't be able to get rust. Well, it was rust. And last year, the winter before, I cut it. I cut everything down, and after the first, when these finish blooming, I'll cut them down to about 6 to 8 inches. I can get in and clean and everything. I'll cut them down one more time, and almost all the way to the ground in mid-November, and then they won't grow back, because if this time of the year you cut them down in a month, it doesn't look like you even cut them down. So I've removed all the leaves. I removed anything in the ground. I was really particular in cleaning up. And what I did last year, I started a spray program with 2 different fungicides in August. And typically I wouldn't see any signs of rust until about mid-September. But the previous year I saw it show up in August. So I thought, well, I'm going to start spraying. Didn't see any rust, and I'm going to start a preventive, it's a systemic, and start spraying maybe the 1st of August in hopes of not seeing any rust. Because a lot of people are in denial that, no, I don't have rust. Well, rust is all over the country, even, like I say, even in a lot of the colder climates. But it's our friends that live in southeast Texas. He has probably 1,500 to 2,000 daylilies. He'll mix up his sprayer. He drags around in a wagon, and every 2 weeks he sprays the entire, and he still has rust, but he just tries to keep control of it. And it's really expensive for those that have a lot of daylilies and get a lot of rust in order to keep it down. And but they say you can't totally eliminate it. It's down in the plant.
Judith, I think we have time for one more question. Judith, did you have a question?
No, I'm worried about the time. I'll just work on, maybe I can catch them later.
Okay,
Thank you.
Stay around for about 5 or 10 more
Absolutely,
minutes for
sure.
people to ask. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Are we going to?
Yes, we're
Okay.
going to do this.
Thanks.
Those of you who got here early enough to get a door price ticket.
Thank you for speaking.
Amy.
Thank you for that.
So how do you?
Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They left some forms for the 2026 Daylily Society, if you would like to join that. It's at the Louisville Nature Center at 7 p.m. on the 3rd Monday of each month. Okay, so I've got a few if you're interested in that. There was no business meeting at the June picnic, so we have no minutes to approve. We can move on beyond that.
Right, we're not ready yet. She hasn't started.
But the question, did we approve May's?
Yes, we approved. Yes, May's meeting.
If we would have done that.
If we had, we would have done that in
meeting, which
June.
we didn't have.
Good question. Okay, so I guess we do need to.
You don't have it all, right?
It's confusing.
Yeah. Well, I showed up for the meeting.
No, you did. Oh, you forgot that we had the picnic? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I pulled up there, you read.
It's on. Yeah.
Are you ready, Veronica?
Yeah, we're trying to make it so you all can see what we're doing better. How I seen that?
I think that's good.
We did this. Let's get to one day. There you go, that's.
There you go.
Just do that one, original size. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'm just, you have to let it build right down. Alright.
Okay, so we need a motion for approving the May meeting minutes. Mary? Second. Jane second, okay, all who approve, I can't even talk.
All in favor?
Okay, all in favor is what I meant to say. And those opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next item is the treasurer's report, and for some reason Mike thinks that I can do this, and I just started laughing. Really, you're gonna, I mean, Veronica,
Yeah, we have.
okay, hold on. There's really nothing for me to say other than take a look at it.
Right.
And you'll be getting it in the newsletter, and please, you guys, if you have any questions, Mike is so good at explaining this, like I am not. So any questions you may have, please ask him, because it is important as a membership that we understand our finances, right? I know sometimes I hear a little bit that we have too much money, this or that, but we also have a lot of expenses for all the projects that you guys are involved in. It takes capital, it takes money to keep all those running. So just keep that in mind. So again, but any questions at all, do not hesitate to reach out to Mike via email, and he will be more than happy to answer your questions. So please. Because we do want you guys to understand it, so. That's all I'm saying about that. Yes, Lisa, do you have a question regarding the plan?
No, I just have a comment. I would just remind people that a lot of that money is pledged towards Pollinator Day for next year, because we were,
Correct.
because we got so much grant money this year.
Right, so the balance may look high, but it was money that we got from Meta that
And
is,
other grants.
and other grants that are tagged for next year Pollinator Day. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. But again, please reach out to Mike. He can explain it all where I cannot. I do not have an accounting background. I worked at a bank, believe it or not, but. I was, more marketing, the side of it. Next on our agenda is Diane regarding the Tomato Festival.
All right, so,
And we want to hear from her because this is this is a good money maker.
yeah, which is, one of the things. So, thank you all for helping us make money, right? So, we're gonna get the produce.
You gotta come up here, Diane.
Okay.
They want to see you, Diane.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for helping us make money. Because you all know the date, which is, what is the date? On the 15th. Okay, so your produce is gonna come in, flowers, whatever you have. If you need somebody to pick your garden or pick your flowers, just let me know. We'll get it all organized. And we also need to start advertising. Last year we had 400 people show up for the tomato festival, and I wanna do that again. Outside, the door, I have, some save the dates, little red cards. They're great for coffee shops, if you have staff at coffee shops, or putting them up on bulletin boards. There's also some flyers that can go lots of different places. And also, there's about half a dozen yard signs, so if you're in a place where you get a lot of traffic, take a yard sign and put that up, okay? And let's.
We want the yard sign back.
Yes, we want the yard signs back, so they can go into our warehouse. I'm looking at Lisa because it's her.
We graduated to the farmhouse.
Yeah. All right, so, and one of the money makers that we have is, besides the produce, is one by Judith, and I'll let her talk about it.
Thank you, Diane, Margie, come here. Let's say on three. 1, 2, 3. Wake him up. So this is Margie Conrad, you probably all know her. Between Margie and I, we're half of the team that works with the Little Shop of Garden Goods. And our other two members are Linda Best and Jean Wolf. All work together. So for the first tomato festival, we really didn't have any idea what we were doing, and we sure didn't know what would be donated and how much. We had no idea. But we were pleasantly surprised, and we worked hard as a team, and we made a nice little profit for Master Gardeners that first year. So then last year, again, we had no idea what would be donated or how much, and we walked into this room 2 days before the festival, and it was shocking how many things were in here. How much, the quantity, the amount, and the nice things that were donated by you. And so we got to work. We thought it would take us all day and all night, but we got through, and on Tomato Festival, we worked hard, and we tripled the profit that we made from the first year. So we made pretty nice one. Thank you. So now here we are, third year. We've got experience under our belts. We think we know what we're doing, but again, we have no idea what will be donated or how much. But the Little Shop of Garden Goods, I've discovered that's a big umbrella, includes a lot of things. So for example, last year, someone donated a whole little collection of pill boxes. And we discovered that people need an allergy medicine or something you want to take with you out the garden when you're working, and those things sold like hotcakes. So I'm gonna ask you to start now, festival 6 weeks away, thinking about what you can donate. Check your garage, check your backyard, go to the basement, look up in the attic, and anywhere else in your house, and anything that you feel like donating, surprise us again. We want to be surprised. It's been a lot of fun. Our team has grown together, and I just like everybody here. We all volunteer for other things as well, but this is kind of getting a special place in our hearts. So, Marge, you have anything else to say?
No, I don't think so. Basket of things to show, is that what that is?
I was just gonna set these out. Last year, Margie gave me these little terracotta pots, and I painted them. And she gave me 8 and 4 of them soap. And I also, this is just an example, I paint, decorate birdhouses. So if you have anything like that you'd like to donate, that can be decorated, I'd be happy to do it. And, or if you're interested in getting one, come to the festival. They're not expensive. Yeah, anything else?
No. So,
Okay, we're finished.
Okay, good.
Surprise us. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Add one more thing.
Yes,
So this room will be open on Friday before Tomato Festival, you to drop off all that stuff that you found. Okay, that, for them to sell.
so the Tomato Festival Sunday, so you can drop it off on Friday.
Right.
Okay, Karen Alexander was gonna talk about SMG shirts. She is having some issues with her air conditioning, so Veronica's gonna do that for us, and she has one of the shirts on. She wore it
And-
today,
And
and
Glenn and you are wearing t-shirt versions of the same thing, right? But I don't know if you bought it through the website or if you got it previously. But you have the logo, so that's, I think on the website, I'll have to show you where to get it, but they have t-shirts, they have polo shirts, different colors, just a variety of things. Which Karen wanted to do is show you where to find that. Let me see if I can get rid of this window here.
switch it to the bottom. Do you see in your green bar right on the arrow where it says you are sharing your screen?
Yes,
There's
kind
an
of.
arrow, the far left. See if that'll suggest
Top to bottom, thank you.
that'll help, and then.
And I'll have to just move this,
that
physically
works.
move it.
Minimize it, but that also works.
No, that's okay. So I think the majority of you folks, and I think it's more for maybe our interns and folks that are new that may not be familiar, this is when you type in sunnysidemg.org, it takes you here to this page, okay? Correct. You familiar with that? Yes? Okay. On the far right at the top, it says for SMG members. If you click on that, oh, I've already logged in. It'll have a screen. You just have to add your email and password, okay? If you don't have access to it, it'll have also, if you're new, a tab to send a message, and between Mike Callahan and myself, we'll see that and we'll get you on there, okay? So anyway, so this is on the member side, not to the public side, as a secret. So you'll see all these different things, and the membership, the newsletters, you can go find them in our meeting archives, but merchandise, okay? Sunnyside Master Gardener merchandise, click on that. And that is where you find the shopping site. Okay, women's apparel, unisex, just like I said, there's a variety of things. Accessories, all that. They are made for us by a company in Sellersburg. I do know since they're having construction in Sellersburg, they're affected by that, but they are open. And they're very helpful, because when I ordered this shirt, I'm gonna confess that I ordered it a year before and forgot to pick it up, and they still had it there. So they're very good. And when I went to go order it, it says, you've already got an order. I was like, oh, okay. So yes, so yeah, that's pretty nice. And I actually like this shirt, so.
So yeah, just
Yeah.
call before you go, because their hours are a little bit different, I think you were mentioning.
Yeah,
of the
because-
Construction.
Yeah, but they're very helpful, so.
All right,
Any questions?
any questions?
Is there a phone number on the?
Um.
No.
I'm trying to think. I think when you make the order, it'll be on that. That's how I found it. I think when you create an order, the contact information will be on the message that you receive. And oh, there is right down the bottom, and they're at the bottom. So you can call even before you do the order.
So you need to pick it up, they don't ship it, or?
You may, call and ask. I don't know that answer. Okay. Okay,
Okay, thank you, Veronica.
got it. Thanks.
Next, Jeff Holder. Which I misspelled his name on the agenda and left off the R.
I'm used to other mistakes. Thank you. So by popular demand, your program committee is offering you the opportunity to visit 2 member gardens next week. That's on Tuesday, July 14th. Member Mary Gutnecht has graciously agreed to open her garden to members of the Sunnyside Master Gardeners beginning at 11 a.m.
10:30.
10:30. Stand corrected. See, you learn something new every time. So, she lives at 9170 Oak Park Northeast in New Salisbury, Indiana. She will not be making a formal presentation, but she's going to be on hand to answer questions that you may have. Some of us are planning to grab lunch at the Georgetown Bakery before proceeding to the Garden of Dave Graff around 1 p.m. Dave has graciously agreed to open his garden to our members. He also will not be making a presentation, but he'll be around to answer any questions that you may have. Dave lives at 7418 County Road 111 in Memphis, Indiana. He says it's near the Chicken House restaurants. These addresses are in the member directory, which you can find on the website if you want to make sure, so you can put it into your phone or whatever.
What was the date on those?
That's next Tuesday, July 14th. One 10:30 in the morning and the other like 1 in the afternoon for a little while. We won't be awarding any advanced training hours, but you have a chance to see 2 lovely gardens by outstanding members of our group. So we hope that this goes over well and is in response to your request last year when we had program ideas.
And Jeff, real quick, so I will send an email with those addresses and times to everyone so that you guys have it, to make it a little bit easier, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, the other thing is, as you know, each year we try to arrange programs that are in response to your suggestions. We hope you've all brought your ideas with you tonight, because we're gonna have you break down in groups of 4. And someone write down the ideas. We're gonna take about 10 minutes to do this. We don't have time to go through them all at the end, but I want you to get those ideas. Virtually all of our programs this year have come out of your suggestions that were made last year. Your suggestions for advanced training field trips, or your suggestions for programs and speakers. We try not to repeat a program for 3 years. So if we just had a program on daylilies, for instance, we probably won't have a program on daylilies next year. So we're trying to vary it up. When we can schedule these people depends entirely on their schedule. We don't have control over that. But all the suggestions come in together. We put topics together, we put potential speakers together, and then we start calling people and trying to arrange things. Everybody that speaks has to be vetted by Gina. So that list goes to Gina, and then she gives us an idea of whether that person's ready to go or not. And then we put it together in the schedule and send it out to you. So we take these all very seriously. And I want you to kind of organize yourself in groups of 4. We have these little yellow sheets. Somebody be the secretary for each of your group. And then in 10 minutes, we're gonna say, "Hi." So we'll take everything. Any others? Thank you so much. We will meet on Thursday and you get put on the list. Thank you.
Gina, you're next.
Remember.
Sitting here, so we're gonna hold a meeting before. So badge, Julia, your badge, your kid's burger badge. Congratulations.
We were a little delayed to get the interns their more official badges, so. We have 3 out of like the 25 or so of their official badges now, so they're interns. I'm gonna send out an email tomorrow with activities coming up. The state fair is coming up on the 17th, so where in the last couple of years we've tried to run both the state master gardener booth and then we take the pollinator day stuff up. We'll only be doing the pollinator day stuff this year. We leave here between 6:30 and 7 and return about 9 p.m. of August. So that's the 17th of August, it's Tuesday. 10 p.m. depends on how long it takes to the Culvers. Yeah. It depends. So we get there right as the state fair opens, give or take, and then we work most of the day. We leave about 6 p.m. We've seen about 800 to 1,000 people while we were there. So if you're interested, let me know and we'll carpool up. We'll take at least 2 cars up. I will get you in for free. That is not a problem. I have plenty of state fair tickets, but it's also $2 Tuesday. And so that's where you get to find like little $2. Sometimes the food's really good, sometimes the food's little. It depends on who you are. It depends on who you are, if you like the $2 option or not at the state fair.
You said it was the 17th or the 18th?
Oh, sorry, 18th, whatever that Tuesday is. Let's
Oh,
do
okay.
18th, sorry.
Okay.
I work and I don't have my calendar in front of me, yeah. 18th then, yeah.
The Tuesday.
Gina,
Yes.
do you already have a team that goes with you?
Right now, Connie, Lisa and Diane and I are going. Rosa, you go up for it?
I can go there. Yeah.
Rosa usually goes with us, so. Whoever else wants to go, Rogers have gone before, Sean and Debbie Clements have gone before, so.
That's really helpful.
Put me on, I'll let
You wanna come? School's in session. School's in session.
Oh, I'm retired again, so I'm not. It's the fourth time in the last 25 years.
Killing me here, man.
My kid doesn't want me to work.
Oh.
Trust me, he doesn't want me to work.
And Kara went with us last year.
What did I do?
You went to State Fair with us
I
last
did.
year. You did, yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Did.
So, yeah, this year we're gonna try to take 2 of our pollinator booths up, just cause I couldn't get in the site quick enough to get us the Master Gardener booth, cause I was on my phone and it didn't wanna work. So that's coming up. I'll need help with 3rd grade ag in the classroom if anybody's interested. 4th grade field trip is the week of September 15th. It'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with Friday being a rain date. Always looking for help with that because over the 3 days, we see about 1,000 4th graders. So, yeah.
I want you to, fairgrounds.
That's when we do at the fairgrounds, yes. And I won't say a whole lot on this, but I will say you might see me asking for a little bit more help as we go. As you saw the email, Purdue is going through a transition. That is still being figured out, and with that transition, it means I'm going to get pulled in more directions, and I'm going to support you as best I can, but I also will be supporting 6 other counties. There are 3 of us in A&R to support 6 other counties, so a total of 7 counties. We want to make sure that every county has local services, but we're trying to figure out some of this also, so I may be leaning on you all a little bit more. And we may need to see what works and what doesn't work and everything else, so, yeah. I'll send out the emails around with all that information, minus the transition stuff, but, yeah, unless you all have questions for me. Okay, I'm good, Shelley.
Okay. Actually, I think that's all I have unless somebody else has something that they want to talk about or that we haven't mentioned, or you have a question on, yes,
I
Kyle?
brought some catalogs and a couple gardening books. They're
Okay.
free if anybody wants, please take them. And if you don't see some of these, maybe give you some ideas.
Okay.
Plants you might
Thank you.
order.
Anything else from anyone? Oh,
Shelley, do you want to introduce our guests that we have?
why don't you do that?
I'm sorry, but
I don't remember their name.
I knew you.
Tim and John.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
the tag team in it.
So as you all know, Purdue does also offer statewide virtual master garden training, and they took it out of Brown County, but actually reside in Clark County. Henryville area, so they're looking to transition this way, because Brown County is a little farther to go, so you did not have to go to Brown County, so. Please introduce yourselves, if you have time, or tell them what project, because they're trying to figure out what projects they want to help with.
Hey, red folding, yeah.
Well, you get all kinds of opinions, I mean, you got like 40 people there, you can get all kinds of opinions, so.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, also, thank you for attending, and then the other reminder is, again, board positions. In my email, I've kind of, in all the newsletters, we've been kind of talking about that. So and I put in there qualified, and a couple of people have asked me what that means. Well, the email I send out goes to the interns as well. So unless they have to have all their volunteer hours in before could be qualified for a board position. So that's what that word qualified means. The majority of us in this room are qualified. It's basically the interns who are still working on it. So and again, we do have an intern who's very interested. So she may have those hours by the time we would actually have nominations. So again, just keep that in mind. These are very important positions, and again, like Gina said, so there may be some changes going on within our group because she's gonna be a little bit stretched. So that will put more responsibility on those board positions, but my hope is, as well as I'm sure the board is, that we have really streamlined a lot of the things this year on the board to make it much easier for the new board to come in. And again, you're gonna have myself, which I don't know how much help I am, but you'll have me, you'll have Veronica still on the board. Debbie Cover will still be on the board, so we'll still have a few people who have some experience. And again, Gina hopefully will still continue to be able to attend the meetings, we'll see. So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of you have probably already volunteered and have done a board position before. Again, reconsider doing it again. We could use your experience and again, with maybe some potential changes that we're gonna be seeing here in the future, so. Any help is always good help, so please consider it. So that's my spiel. So, and if not, I'll be calling people. If I don't get volunteers, I'm gonna be calling people. So you may be hearing from me anyway, one-on-one. You never know. So Lisa, did you have anything? You look like you wanted this. Is there any questions from Zoom land?
They're just asking about what the hours are for this evening.
Okay.
But I wasn't gonna interrupt you until.
Thank you.
Did that. 1 hour of education and 1 hour of business, because we had business before and after.
The 1 hour education and 1 hour of business. And again, please put those hours in. That is extremely important for Gina and her record keeping. So that when she goes through budgets and things, that's what helps her to say, look how much basically free. Volunteering and service we have done. So it's extremely important for that. Anybody have anything else? So who's gonna volunteer for the board? How many hands am I seeing? I know you're all considering it. I get it. You have my contact information. Just give me a holler. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? I motion.
Second.
Karen Bohannon, right?
Second.
Art. Pratt. I'm getting there.
Good.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Guys,